As the title of the video states, today we're going to be directly comparing the Reolink Go PT with the newly released Reolink Go PT Plus. Now, Reolink just released this Plus model, and it's an upgraded version of the Reolink Go PT. Today we're going to examine exactly what are the differences. We'll compare them physically to see if there's any differences. But more importantly, we'll take them outside and do a direct video comparison. We'll go over exactly what the upgrades are on the Reolink Go PT Plus and how that differs from the older version here. If you're in the market for a Reolink Go PT, this video should be extremely helpful because of the direct side-by-side comparison that we're going to be doing here. That should give you a good idea if the upgraded version is going to be for you or if you want to stick with the slightly cheaper Reolink Go PT. So let's get started with our comparison, and we're going to check out the physical differences, if there is any. Before we get into the direct comparison, I do want to give a review of what the Reolink cellular cameras are all about. I'm not going to get into great detail today on these cameras and their exact functions. I have a playlist down in the description. If you want to know anything about the Reolink cellular cameras, there's surely a video for you. I have done many different videos in the past that touch on the step-by-step process on setting these up with a cellular carrier. I touch on which carrier I use. I go over some of the upgrades you might want to do to get better signal with different antennas. I touch on things like trigger distance and the video quality and showing many different samples. I also touch on why I think these are the best cellular trail cameras that one person could ever use. I possibly run more Reolink cellular cameras than anybody else. Now, that doesn't make me an expert, but it does give me a lot of experience, and I touch on many of those experiences in videos in the past, so please check out the description. Another thing is to check out the comment section on those videos. I answer possibly hundreds of different questions over the years on these Reolinks. So if you want to take the time, read down through the comments. You can hear from other experienced users in those comment sections. Lots of good information. Check out the description of this video and the comment section of the previous videos. You can learn a lot about the Reolink cellular cameras. Let's get on to the comparison. So I do want to compare these physically. You can see the one is a little bit shinier and newer, and that's because it is the Reolink Go PT Plus. This older Go PT is actually a couple years old, and it's been living outside working for me for the past over a year, maybe close to 2 years now. So it has handled the weather fairly well. If you look at them, they're both virtually identical physically, and when you first notice them, I really don't see any differences whatsoever. Look at the bottom and the actual make of these cameras. You would say they were identical. If you take a really close look here at the lenses, you might see a slight difference. This Reolink Go PT Plus has an upgraded lens. It's capable of taking 2K video. So when you compare the lenses, I would say there might be a slight difference of the physical lens inside of the camera. But otherwise, just looking at these two, everything else would look absolutely identical, or I cannot see any differences between these two other than that lens. So as you can see physically, they're almost identical, but there are some differences and there are some upgrades with this Plus model, and we're going to discuss those in just a second. But I want to start off with the comparison between the video quality. The Go PT Plus should have a better video quality, or it has an upgraded lens that's a 2K, whereas this one was 1080p. Now, I had the Go PT mounted outside as a cellular trail camera for over a year, and I simply replaced that camera with the Go PT Plus. That should give us a good comparison of different footages from the exact same location, although they were taken at different times. I'm going to show those to you, show you which camera the footage came from. We can do a little bit side-by-side comparison, but then I'm going to meet you outside and we'll do an exact comparison from the exact same time with the same weather conditions of these two cameras, so stay tuned for that. But first, check out the samples of different videos I've been collecting with these two cameras. So in those comparisons, it was probably a bit unfair, although it was the exact same location. It was different times of year, different lighting conditions, etc. Thought I'd bring you outside here, and despite the really high winds, we're gonna do a few tests here, and we have a super deluxe setup. Actually, I just mounted these side by side as close as I could possibly get. We'll do a few tests here. I'll drive the golf cart past, I'll maybe walk in front of it or walk towards the camera. We'll do a few tests. That should give a real good representation or a comparison at the exact same time, at the exact same lighting conditions. After that, we're going to head back inside out of these winds, and I'm going to tell you some more upgrades and differences between the Go PT Plus and the Go PT. Well, that should have been a little bit fairer test, the same conditions side by side at the exact same time. I haven't seen the footage yet, but I'm suspicious it's pretty close. Although the one camera is advertised as 1080p and the new Plus model is advertised as 2K, I don't suspect there's going to be much difference in quality. You can be the judge. You saw the footage. Maybe there is a big difference that you could pick out. But I do want to jump into the app here, and there is a difference in the app. Although both cameras operate on the exact same app, in fact, all of the Reolink cellular cameras operate on this same app, we're going to pull up the Go PT. That's the older version. We're going to pull up the live feed here. And as you can see, you get a view. One of the big differences when you go into the playback, you can choose from previously recorded videos. It separates them into different days and different months. And you can see here, if we scroll through all the different videos it took, it gives you the time of day that it took and how long that video is. Now that's how the original version was. That's how I've ran my Reolinks for many years. Next, let's jump over to the Go Plus. If we pull up that live feed, this is the new updated version. It looks the same. The live feed looks virtually the same. But if we go down here to playback, that's where a big difference is going to be. If you can see down here in the playback mode, the thumbnails, it's actually a motion thumbnail. So if there's somebody walking, it actually gives you just a small clip of what's in that video, and it tells you then what time of day and of course how long it is. That's the same information, but you can actually see what's in that video, each of these videos. So if there's a bunch of different videos recorded, you can actually just look at the thumbnails and get a pretty good idea of what triggered that event. Whereas remember in the older model, you simply didn't get any picture or moving thumbnail at all. You had to rely just a guessing game or scroll through every single one. Makes it handy because as you're viewing the playback, you're using the data. It's using data in order to supply you this playback. So to minimize the time in the playback, these motion thumbnails are a huge help. Another thing you'll take note here, on the one where I'm walking, you can actually see it gives you an icon of a person walking up in the corner of the thumbnail. This new model features Smart ID or artificial intelligence. It can break down if there is a vehicle moving or a person in the video. On some of these, you can see it actually shows a person and a vehicle, and that was my golf cart. It does a pretty good job at identifying. Of course, no technology is perfect. I have had instances where a deer walked past and it thought it was a vehicle, or a deer walked past and it thought it was a person. So it's not 100% perfected. It's not always correct, but I do find it's pretty accurate when there is an actual vehicle or an actual person. Another feature that the Go PT Plus has that the previous model did not have is a clip feature. If you look down here in the bottom, when you're in your live feed, you can press on clip. That's actually going to magnify a certain portion of the screen, and you have the option to move that around. You can simply click on that box, and that's going to bring in a closer view. It's actually pretty high quality view, and this was very helpful when using it as a security camera. You can simply move that to a certain spot, moved it over and get a closer look at my mud hole there. You can simply move that around and get a really good identification of what's in that spot. Again, if a person's walking and you want to move that right onto their face, you can get a really good view. Again, this is simply in the live view. This does not work in previously recorded videos, so keep that in mind. But this clip feature is unique just to the Plus model. Of course, both cameras still give you the ability to pan and tilt, and that's why there's PT in both their names. It's probably one of the biggest selling points to this model camera. At any time, from anywhere, with the aid of the app, you can simply scan the area. You can pan left or right or tilt up and down. I really enjoy this feature. It allows you to cover a lot more area. You can position the camera at different places at different times. That's extremely handy. Of course, both these units also have built-in lithium batteries, and you can charge them with a solar panel. Both of these run very good on that solar panel. I have no battery issues at all. So that's it. Those were the biggest differences, or at least the biggest differences I noted after using both cameras. Pretty nice feature having those motion thumbnails. For me, that does save data. And of course, the Go PT Plus is slightly higher price tag. So ultimately, you have to decide whether those new features or those couple new features that I showed you are worth the extra dollars on the initial cost. If you have any comments or questions, I'd love to hear from you. Again, I have a lot more videos on the Reolink cellular cameras. You can go down in the description and you can pick out any topic or anything you might have a question on. I probably have done a video in the past for that, so check out the playlist down below. I'm going to be placing a link to both these cameras, both the Go PT and the Go PT Plus. They're going to be down in the description. And also, for a limited time, if you're interested in purchasing the new Go PT Plus, there's going to be a discount code that's going to be down in the description. It's HuntingFarmer08. You can copy and paste that and enter that at the time of checkout. It's going to save you some extra money. So again, if you have any comments or questions, don't be afraid to ask. There are no dumb questions. And if you just simply have a comment, I love hearing from you. I try and get back to each and every one of you. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.